Hey y'all, welcome back to the Committed to Me podcast. I know it's been a while, but I
Long
am your
time.
host, Alexis Campbell, licensed clinical social worker and mental health therapist.
All right. I'm gonna start using my married name. So my name, we're gonna do Keisha Smiley Britton. All right, licensed social work mental health therapist as well.
I know that's
I know. Listen,
right.
I gotta work it on up there.
Yeah. Y'all see that name adding? The girl's married, okay?
Been long enough.
Yes.
Been long enough. Okay. So today we're gonna jump in. We're gonna talk about starting over. So how
hmm
many times in your life do you think you have started over?
Honestly, this year alone, I feel like I started over at least a good 3 times.
It be like that.
Yeah, a
It
good
do.
three
It
times.
do.
This year was definitely hitting a little
A little hard.
different.
You was on God's toughest soldiers list
Yeah,
today.
I think so. I did not elect or opt in to be on that list.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this year I feel like I started over at least a good 3 times. What about you?
I can see that. I would say with certain goals of mine, I definitely start over. I think in life in general, in my 20s, girl, I was hopping cities. But I'm gonna start over as many chances as I need to until I get to where I feel like, okay, I like this.
I
So
feel that.
I've started over a lot. A
Yeah.
lot. I think I was sick of myself how many times I have moved. It was bad. But yeah, so now I'm here. I'm here, but in hindsight, I think starting over is good, especially when you're trying to find yourself. Trying to right your wrongs, all of that, trying to explore things. So I think starting over is very good and it's
Yeah.
needed sometimes.
I feel like it feels good once you get to that other side of where
Okay.
you want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
But in the beginning of acknowledging, like, okay, in order for me to get to whatever the other side of this thing is,
Mm-hmm.
I have to acknowledge that something is wrong. And sometimes that's the hardest
It
part.
is, it is, because you don't have no vision. You don't know where you're going.
No,
You don't know what it's gonna look like. You like, I don't know about this.
no. And I'm also noticing that I have to remind myself to slow down because the pace of life has been moving really
So
fast.
fast.
And before I knew it this year, I was like, no, this is not what I intended. This is not what I like. So let me just go ahead and start over. But acknowledging that, I was beating myself up.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was going in on myself. The feeling of acknowledging can sometimes feel like pressure,
Yep.
but I'm wondering like for you in your journey, like how did you know like, okay, there needs to be a start over, there needs to be a rebrand?
I think just not being happy, or you just feel like your spirit's not at peace, you're just like, this ain't the kind of life I want
Mm-hmm.
for myself. So it's just
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, let's try something else.
Mm-hmm.
And that happened quite a few times, but like I have like moved from like high school to Dallas to go to school. I moved to San Antonio to go to school, didn't like that, left
Mm-hmm.
after 6 months, moved back to Dallas, lost my job years later, moved to Austin, then moved back to
Mm.
Dallas, moved to Houston. I mean, baby, I have moved quite a lot to restart over.
But that's
But
pretty common these days for people to move
it
or like be
is.
like transplants in a new city.
Yeah.
I'm kind of understanding how lonely that can be
Hmm.
when you're just kind of like rebranding yourself or pivoting and moving to a new city. It's almost like you got to like start over in a way and finding your
Yeah.
people, finding who you mesh with. You may make some mistakes along the way, and that journey is really
It's
hard.
hard. And I can tell you, I envy the people who just
Yeah.
at one city and they can say, oh, I've been here since the day I was born. This is where I've been. Like when I say the envy, I'd be like, I just want to be somewhere stable. But
Mm,
that's not my journey, and
mm.
it takes a while to come to that realization that you maybe you just meant to touch every city and you
Yeah.
got a mission in every city, like it is
Mm-hmm.
what it is. And it's hard, like you said. But
Mhm.
once you kind of like settle down, like, okay, let me write out some goals. Let me do some little
Mhm.
action step tasks to go with those goals, and you start finding your groove, then it gets
Mhm.
better.
See, I was born and raised here in Houston, so I've been having like this feeling of wanting to move somewhere else. So this summer I went and visit different like major cities.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to New York, and at first, if you asked me a couple years ago, I would be like, "Oh no, I hate New York. It's not okay. Like cannot get with it." But actually going out there, I felt like this is where I belong. Like
Really?
I can see myself living here. Like it really gave that vibe. But also the people that were there, they had been there for like 5, 10 years.
Yeah.
And it was like one of those things of like once they got there, they didn't want to leave. Some of my friends who moved out there, like they still love New York. They from Brooklyn. Like they love it so much.
Okay.
But also it is tough to leave home. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's really tough to leave home. And so I just never knew like ugh, like, okay, when's the right time, to kind of lean
Right.
into that feeling?
Right.
And so I do wonder, like, for you, since you have made like all those different moves, like, how did you know it was the right time to go?
I think I just got to a point where it was like I was isolating myself
Mm,
just from not being happy. And feeling like, I'm not even seeing my friends that often. Like it's really just like me in my own world kind of thing.
mhm,
And I'm just like, this ain't me. It's like you
mhm.
start to lose yourself because you're not happy, or you feel like, hey, I thought I was gonna hit this goal and I didn't, or I thought I was gonna see these
Yeah.
people, hang out with these people, but I didn't. And then I feel like everybody, like after we graduated college, like people, a lot of people move to like either Los Angeles or Houston, and you see them
Mm,
thriving, and you're like, I want that. Like, I want to be happy.
mhm,
I want to feel like I'm thriving, not just living day to day, like in survival mode kind of thing.
mhm,
So I was just like, well, I'm not happy here, so what's the point of staying? Like, the least I can
mhm,
say is I tried it. Like, I never want to go through life and say, what if, and I want to
mhm.
say I tried it. If it didn't work out, well, I tried it, right? And I can mark that option off, and we're gonna close that little yellow brick road, and we're gonna go to another yellow brick road and just see where it goes.
I see. I like that mentality of at least I tried it because it's really easy to just kind of chase happiness
Mhm.
and chase that feeling of having something new to the point where, like, you're at this point, you're just running.
Mhm.
And I think sometimes, like, right now, people are trying to decipher from, okay, am I running away from something,
Yep.
or like by chasing and focusing on happiness, or am I actually like dealing with something and I'm actually in alignment to like moving to another city where I can grow. I think you
Mhm.
just gotta be really intentional.
You do, you do. You just gotta know yourself, because it's like
Yeah.
you wonder, am I filling this void by running or by hopping cities? Like, am I avoiding somebody, avoiding a pain, avoiding a situation, whatever it is, right? And so you
Mhm.
really gotta like sit and do that self reflection to think, okay, what is it that I'm seeking?
Yeah.
Is that aligning with what I'm doing or my
Yeah.
thought process? Like, is there some, cognitive dissonance going on? All that, right? To
Mhm.
make sure everything's in alignment. And I think that helps you like find your clarity to know which direction you want to go in.
Absolutely. And then you can't be chasing around trying to live a life that you're not ready or meant to live as well.
Mm-mm.
Because sometimes, like, yeah,
Preach it.
things look
Preach
really
it.
good on social media, like so good. And I can even find myself falling into like, oh, like, you know what? I want to have this, and that, and the other, but like I'm not ready for it. Like it could
Mm-hmm.
definitely come, but I'm not ready for it. And so I definitely learned the lesson of what's for you really truly is for you, even though it sounds so
It
cliche.
do. Yep.
But then also I kind of like developed this like tool of doing an assessment over each area of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And if whatever statement I come out with, like, for example, let's say with my friends, I'm like, oh, I love my friends, but something is like missing. If I say something like that to myself, like in a statement, I then try to turn that statement into a question of, well, what would make me feel fulfilled within my friendships? And whenever answer I come up with that, I then try to
Ooh.
apply that to setting an intention, whether that's like, okay, well, if I do move to another city or if I do move into a new job opportunity, I'm still going to keep that intention. Because it's very easy to complain and be like, and pointing out what's wrong. But if
Mm-hmm.
you're not asking
Mm-hmm.
yourself the questions, you're not putting the control back into yourself. So, a part of pivoting, I feel like you got to be really curious and not judgmental towards yourself, too.
That's very true. And then like, we talk about social media comparison. That's the thief for
Hmm.
joy. And other people's life does seem great. Whatever they got, like if they're posting their husband and their kids, or
Yeah.
you got the content creator, you got the person who's out doing social events. Like it all
Yeah.
look good for them couple of seconds that you watch in that video. But you're essentially like trying to dissociate from your life, and then
Yeah.
when you throw yourself into theirs, and then that makes it harder for you because now you're like meshing the two instead of figuring out what do I really want, what's going to be fulfilling
Mhm.
to me.
Mhm. I
So
agree with you saying, like, finding the language to work with yourself and not against yourself is so
come on,
important. And so I
come
do
on.
wonder, like, okay, when you were going through your journey, you in a new city, how do you even protect yourself? How do you even go into this without being guarded, but also being mindful?
I think I've just the last couple of years since moving to Houston, somewhere
Mhm.
between COVID and now, I
Mhm.
think I've learned how not to be guarded.
Mhm.
Because I think growing up, like especially my 20s, very guarded, like just naturally guarded. And I don't know how to not be guarded, right?
Why are you so
I don't
guarded?
know. I was just like, ugh, leave me alone. I want to talk to you. We seen each other too much. Like just guarded
What?
all the time. And I don't know. And so
That is
like
so
I literally had to
crazy.
read it. I don't know what book this was, but it was like Permission to Feel or something like that. Like
Mhm.
that baby, that side was just blocked off.
And that's so crazy. So, Keisha, y'all, Keisha is like so nice. Like so nice. And people love you. So I don't understand
Listen,
how you could be so
in
guarded.
college they called me K hostile.
Chaos that is
I tell
crazy.
you, like thank God for growth. Thank God for growth. Okay. But it was just like realizing that's not a healthy way to live.
Right.
It's not a healthy way to live at all. So it's like, how can I open that side of me to be more mindful, to be open, and how I always preach isolation versus solitude. Like, what's the difference between
Yeah.
those two? And it's just become like a growing evolution when I became intentional, like that's not how I want to live. Because it's really not
Mm.
good and healthy to be guarded from anybody, really.
Mhm.
So I think as I just became into my identity and like figuring out the way that I wanted to live and like being intentional with that,
Mhm.
it's made it easier.
I mean, that's fair. Growing up, especially going to college, I really guarded myself. And not just because the simple fact of like, that's just how I wanted to come off, but growing up, you hear a lot of messages, especially in the Black community, especially in Houston. Oh, you need to protect yourself. Don't ask for help for nobody. Just make sure you are, considering your safety, just constantly thinking in that way, especially with the community I came from. It was like, oh no, girl, like, keep your distance. Like, hey, it's a hey, how you doing? And we're gonna keep it moving. But when I went to college, everyone's like, hey, hey, can I help you? Can I help you? And I'm just like, why y'all trying to help everybody? Like, what's
Listen,
going on?
speaking of that, it makes me think of like, okay, like when I had Layla, right?
Yeah.
You see the moms out and they walking freely.
Mhm.
And in my mind, I'm like, what if somebody just stops and kidnap you?
Oh,
Like, what if
girl.
something happened or somebody pop a curb and then we hit because we walk on the street? Like, when I tell you living in fear and you don't ever think it's fear, you just think like you're being cautious, right?
Yeah.
Same thing, like, I will never walk by a white van. Baby, you're not going to open those doors and kidnap me, right? You're not,
Yes.
right? You immediately get into the car. What you do? Check your back seat. Like,
But you
it's.
know what? People been talking a lot about how like Black people, like the way in which we may navigate through life, you low key might be teetering on that line of
Right,
OCD. Like you
right.
may be
No, for
teetering on that
real.
line of obsessive compulsive disorder, just kind of being just super hyper aware. Those things
Baby,
can
the
also be.
hypervigilance be real.
Yeah, the
It
hypervigilance and
be real.
hyperindependence can be real, but it's all trauma
I
responses.
think so. I literally think
Yeah.
so. Like, listen, you will never see me leave my house with a candle lit. I'm not about to come
What?
back. I'm not about to come back with a house fire.
All
What
right, you know
if?
what? I have
What
broken that
if?
rule. I do leave a candle lit when I leave the
I'm
house.
stressed for you. You saw me pat my head. I
Yes.
was like, oh, why would you do that? Like the hypervillage be for real, and it really
It
be like
does.
guarded because, like you said, they tell you to always watch your surroundings. And
Yeah.
even if I go for a walk by myself, I'm not gonna put two AirPods in, but we're gonna have one so I can hear some feet step come up behind me.
Yeah, I ain't there yet. I be
And
having a full beats
I
on. I ain't
can't,
listen. I ain't trying to hear nothing. I'm
I,
trying to be in my
I
zone. Cause at
cannot.
the same time, living with that type of mentality,
It's
it
not good.
became it's
It is
exhausting.
very
It
exhausting.
doesn't feel helpful, especially if you move into a new city or trying to pivot.
Hmm.
I kind of want to lean in more into like my intuitive feeling of like, okay, if I'm sensing something in a space where I don't feel safe, or if I'm with you and I'm kind of picking up on a vibe, I listen to that. I will go ahead and just go my own
Right,
way.
right.
But when you are living in a new city, you do got to practice breaking some of those rules, like, or not bringing your past into the new city, not in a way to where you're having the same patterns, you're having the same interactions with people. Because why would I be in a new city and I'm still the same person?
No, seriously, for real. Like I remember when I first moved to Houston, I got my gun license. Baby, that little gun came everywhere.
Oh, pew,
If
pew.
it
I
could
didn't know you
not
had a
fit in
gun,
my
girl.
bag, I was not carrying that bag. Like,
Okay.
and when I had Layla, I was putting it in a diaper bag, and I was like, a
Girl,
gun
the
in a diaper
diaper.
bag is crazy. Like that just seems so irresponsible, but at the same time, baby, I'm not carrying 5 bags. Everything's going in this diaper bag. But it was just like living in that
Can
state
you
of
imagine someone going to say, Keisha, let me help you get a diaper, and
in
they
hip
see
hop,
a gun?
baby.
Keisha, I would have fainted if I saw your purse.
Crazy, crazy, crazy work,
You
right?
you learn something new every day about a
Listen,
person. You
you
just
thought you knew me,
you
but
thought
no.
you
But living in that state, and it's just like I can't keep living like that. Like I
That's true.
understand being safe, but at this point, I'm like you said, it's like the little
Yep.
OCD coming in. Like,
Yep. The OCD be kicking in.
okay.
The OCD
So
be
hey, I
kicking
had to start
in.
over with that. Like, okay,
Yeah.
let's keep this in the car. You know, locked
Mhm.
up. We don't need to carry it with us everywhere.
Mhm.
Um, Starting over all the time,
Yeah.
all the
With
time.
starting over, y'all have to do an assessment over your life, even your past as well too. Kind of thinking about what are some of the things that you've experienced that you kind of started to develop rules for yourself. You could be
Mhm.
living in like this space of having a set of rules for yourself and
Mhm.
not even acknowledging it. Because some of that stuff is passed down from generation to generation.
Yeah.
For prime example, when you riding in your car, making sure that you don't got them internal lights on. Cause
Because
if
if you
you
do,
do,
you're going to jail.
you're going to jail. And I'm working on breaking that rule because I found out that that's not
Not real.
true. It's not real.
It's not real at all.
Like,
Who
girl,
told us this?
like the thing, like it's just so many rules to break. But like seriously, like sometimes there are some really like life threatening rules or some rules that could be really preventing you from making a new friend, having a
Mhm.
good network. Networks are always important. I
Mhm.
encourage people to build a good network, but you really gotta do that self-assessment.
You do, and we got to get out that mindset. Like I got to stay the same, right?
Yeah.
Change is good, and when you change, you're growing, you're evolving. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I always made me think about this Meek Mill song. I listened to him way back,
Okay, I'm
years
saying
ago.
I'm a
Not
Meek
right now,
Mac fan.
not
I'm a
right now.
Meek Mill
Oh,
fan.
but it was a used to be a used to, right? That was one of his songs. I used to be a used to, and it's just like you
Okay.
don't want to be that used to be person who I was like, oh, he used to do this all the time, right? And you still
Yeah.
doing the same thing you used to do
Mm.
5 years ago, 10 years ago, back when we was kids, still doing the same thing,
And
right?
that's why I don't be on Facebook no more.
Girl,
it's, it's a whole lot of used to be used
still
to's
doing the same thing.
on Facebook. And I had to, girl, at this point, if y'all find my Facebook,
Bypass me.
that was AI.
That was me.
That wasn't me. That was AI. But no, I'm accepting of my past. But I'm just saying, like, yeah, you're right.
You
You
gotta
gotta keep
grow.
growing. That it's necessary. There's nothing wrong with changing, and there's nothing wrong with acknowledging that something needs to change within you. Nothing wrong with
Correct,
that.
correct. And change is good. You know, we just got to get used to the change, right?
Yes.
And I feel like the more you go and flow with the change instead of like trying to oppose it, it
Mm-hmm.
makes it easier to go with the flow. Instead of you trying to like fight that change and be resistant to it, I feel like you're putting up a roadblock to whatever it could be down the road for you, right? And
Yeah.
that could be your divine detour, your alignment, your goal, you finding your purpose, you finding your
Right.
identity, you meeting somebody, right? You just have to be open to change and be able to go with the flow.
Okay, but break that down. What really is a divine detour? Like, what does that mean? I hear it in church. I hear it. I even hear,
Mhm.
some therapists talk about it as well too. But like, what really is it?
I feel like it's roadblocks that come up
Mm-hmm.
that are there to protect you.
Mm-hmm.
So like an example I always use is like let's say you're job hunting and you find I love this job. This is great. This is for me. I want it, right? And you get that email, you know, after reviewing your application, you're a great candidate, but there's other ones and they go with somebody else, right? So now you sad, you upset, like, damn, that job is really good for me. I really wanted it. But then you find out a month later, oh, they doing layoffs.
Right.
Now you like, oh, that was God looking out for me. That was my divine detour. So
I
it's a
hear
roadblock.
that, but there's also that feeling that was really, really hard for people to work through, which is disappointment.
Mm-hmm.
And that emotion can sometimes overtake the clarity that comes on the other side of things and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Now, I do believe everything is interconnected. I do believe that, there are reasons why certain things don't happen. But how do you work through that emotion, that disappointment,
Um,
when you are basically being rerouted?
I mean, it took a while to get there, right? Because like when this first happened, of course I'm disappointed and I'm
Right,
upset, right? And now I'm not applying to no jobs because I'm discouraged, right?
right.
And so it's not until after the fact that you see it was a detour, and
Mm-hmm.
then it's like my brain started to think like, okay, you know, sometimes things do happen that's not meant for me, and it's okay, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because what if I got the job and signed the lease, and then boom, I'm laid off, and now I can't pay my
True,
lease, right? It's just all these
true.
things, and it I only came to this realization when I got disappointed X amount of times, got upset, got in my feelings. stop doing whatever I needed to be doing, stop working on my
Mhm.
goals because I'm in my feelings. And then I learned out way down the line, right? So I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, I have to stop internalizing that disappointment and thinking, okay, something's wrong with me or why this didn't work out or oh, I really wanted that, right? And
Mhm.
I feel like it's just like one of them growing pains as you go through life and you're like, okay, this has
Mhm.
happened 3 times before. And every time it's happened, I realized something after the fact. So just
Right.
learning to take on that mentality of I can't pity myself because something didn't work out for me, right? And
Yeah.
of course that's hard to come to. It
Yeah.
does take time and it takes practice and it takes you really trying to look in and say, okay, well if this didn't work out, maybe I can try this, right? Like I say, like
Mhm.
not putting all your eggs in one basket and
Mhm.
you also reminding yourself like as you grow in your Christian walk, everything that you want, that's not what God has for you. And you have
Yeah.
to come to the terms that sometimes when you get to that actual level of saying, okay, I'm going to surrender to you,
Mhm.
that's a whole nother level because you be like, Lord, I need you to do what I want you to do, right? And
Right.
then you go through life and you like, this ain't working out. Like, I'm so upset, God, why you not doing this for me? And you get mad and you angry and you stop going to church and all these things, right?
Mm.
And then you see on the other side, oh, this was here to protect me, right? So it's just
Mhm.
like keeping your mind focused on the good, the greater, the other possibility, things like that. It takes
Mhm.
time because it's hard.
It
It's
is.
still hard present day. And I know how to surrender, but I still be like, Lord,
It's
if
hard.
you would just do this thing,
Yeah.
it's hard. But it's just realizing that pitying yourself, it doesn't do anything. Like there's no
Mhm.
fruit that it produces. It
Mhm.
halts you from everything. And then that's like looking at yourself and evaluating, like, okay, whatever I'm thinking or doing, is it helpful for me? And you realize it's not helpful. And in fact, it's pushing me further from my goals.
Mhm.
So it just takes a moment of like self reflection to stop and ask myself, okay, what am I doing? Like, what's not working out? How can I change? And then
Yeah.
it helps you to get in that mode when you ask those questions, to yourself
Mhm.
more.
I also like that when you're saying give yourself that time to pity. A long time ago, my mom would say, "Okay, girl, be sad, but in 2 hours,
Okay, wrap it up.
wrap it up."
Wrap it
And at
up.
first, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, like that is just so I can't put a time limit on my sadness. I can't." No, you can't. Like, yes, in the moment, the emotions may be feeling like really big, especially when you're trying to figure out, okay, what am I going to do next? Where should I go? Where am I being called to? Where do I feel like the most connected to?
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes you actually, to help manage your emotions, I would say, yeah, put a time limit on it. Like, give yourself some time to feel, give yourself time to sit in that emotion. But when you are sitting in that emotion, that's when you should be doing the most work.
Mm-hmm.
Doing the most work of identifying, okay, what are my thoughts? Does my thoughts align with scripture? Does my thought align with what people have said about me? The people who actually like love me and see me. Or if I can't see it right now, who do I need to call who can
Right,
help me
right.
see it as well? Like you got to really start doing the work when you're in that emotion. Or like if you're going to just sit in emotion and take a nap and not do anything, okay, put a timer on
Mm-hmm.
because still you have to allow yourself to process, but then knowing when that you're going to start doing the work, putting
Mm-hmm.
that locus of control back into yourself. So, on to our next segment of Touched by an Angel. Keisha, what do you got for us, girl?
So we're gonna come up with a Bible verse that goes in alignment with what we're talking about. So what comes to mind is Philippians 4:19, right? My God will supply all my needs according to his riches, right? So when
Period.
you are starting over, it's fearful because you're like that fear of the unknown. Like, am
Mm-hmm.
I gonna be missing out on anything? Am I gonna be in lack or whatever? I'm in survival mode, XYZ, right?
Yes.
But you got to be able to trust that God is going to have your back,
Mm-hmm.
through whatever you're doing. And that means his riches, right? It didn't say to my riches or my wants, it's God. So whatever is in alignment, right? Like how we have talked about those divine detours,
Yeah.
what God has for you may not be what you want, but you have to remember that God has your back at the end of the day.
Period.
So it takes me back to a story that I had put in one of my journals, how I got fired from my job in Dallas. I was at this job for like 5 years. This lady said I was soliciting some shirts to her, right? Yes. Soliciting some shirts to her. And so they took her word over mine. And I'm like, I wasn't listening. Like she literally was like, I like your shirt. When are you going to drop it? If so, let me
That's
know, right? Flipped
insane.
out. They believed her over me. I got fired, right?
Wow.
So had to move from Dallas to Austin because now I had a job, can't pay my bills, right?
Yeah.
So moved into Austin with my parents. I ended up getting another job that was twice my income I got at Dallas. Okay. So that right there shows me that God will supply my needs according to his riches. So of course in that moment I'm pissed, I'm hurt. I've been in this job 5 years. Like, what do you mean you're gonna believe a
Mm.
patient over me? Like, I know the truth and I know what not to do, right?
Yeah.
So upset. And now I gotta leave my apartment.
Mm.
Upset. I gotta sell my furniture. Upset, right? All these things, like I'm starting over and I shouldn't be. I just got my master's degree.
Mm.
What do you mean? Like, I got
Mhm.
goals, I got plans, right? But in hindsight, things were lining up way better. Like, I'm closer to my family. And at that time in Dallas, I feel like I was like really isolating myself from my family,
Mhm.
going through relationship problems, all kind of things, right? Just losing yourself. So not only is my income doubled, I'm now closer to my family.
Right.
I have a chance to save money, which I couldn't do before because now back then living paycheck to paycheck on a $30,000 income.
Just
How is
ain't
that even
gon'
possible?
just not gonna
Okay.
cut it. It's not gonna
So
cut
it
it.
just goes to show that if I would have stayed in that pity, what like in my mindset wasn't there to apply to that job, I could have been my own hindrance and my own roadblock.
Right.
So it
Mm.
just goes to show that you have to be able to trust the process sometimes, even when you don't know the outcome, when you don't know what it's gonna look like. Like,
Mhm.
you pray to God, God show me which where you want me to go, what you want me to do, XYZ, and
Mm.
then those doors will open up and he'll start to speak to you in those ways.
Yeah. It's really important to just allow yourself to just take a step back and really assess, okay, where am I being called to? Because yeah, when you mentioned like your journey of like having that setback, an unexpected setback at that. And it
Unexpected.
really, I think my most setback that I had that like really shook me to my core, that led to like me feeling depressed, was when I literally had a job lined up right after completing grad school. Um, yeah, I had it all lined up. In my mind, I was like, okay, I did everything. I went through all the steps. I'm gonna get this job, but I also had to take my test. Took my test,
Girl.
failed it by 4 points. Had to
Mm.
say bye to the job, bye to the vision, bye to it all. And it was like really shattering because it's just like, okay, well, where do I go from here? And I remember I wrote a journal entry and I was just like, okay, this is just, usually with my journal entries, they can start off positive. Well, they can start off like with the reality and end positively, but that one, it just ended like dark. It just ended it like very, very sad. And I was just like, okay, girl, we got to find some motivation. And
Yeah.
I'm a big book girly. I love books. I love reading. And I'll never forget the book that I read was called More Than Enough by Elaine Weatheroth. And it really was like, it was just like some of the things that I was hearing and seeing, well, some of the things I was reading in the book just kind of re-inspired me to get back in there. Like, I can't just let the story stop here.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you talk about like this scripture, it just kind of, it's interesting how it's just like, sometimes what you have and where you are, it may not be what you want, but you can make it more than
You
enough.
sure can.
You can make it as a way, like literally a book got me out of depression. Like a book got me out of depression, and just knowing that I can start over again, I can figure it out. The vision's going to be completely different,
Mm-hmm.
but again, that's not, it's up to me to figure out how to get to it. But this is where I can use my choice to not stop as
I love
well,
that.
and now it's just like, yeah, things are connecting, things are aligning, and I feel really blessed. I feel really grateful because like the opportunities and the people I've met along the way really just shifted my perspective. And I don't know if I would have got that if I would have just
Right.
passed that test, and that we'll never know, but I'm happy now.
That is true. That's true. And I look back and I'm like, man, that place I was working at was
Child.
so ghetto, so hood. And I'm just like, what? I'm like, and I feel like looking back, I'm like, I actually settled staying there for 5 years, knowing I should not have, right? And trying to live off
Yeah,
30,000. That's insane
that is
for someone with a
insane.
master's degree. Very much insane, right? So it's
God
just
say, girl,
like,
come up out of
exactly.
there.
It's like sometimes
Come
you
up
get
out of
real
there.
comfortable and complacent, and like God has to literally shake you because it's like, okay, I gave you these signs, you didn't move,
Yeah.
so now I really got to get your attention,
Get
and
you
this
out of
thing
there.
you can't ignore, and I'm gonna force you out of something.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, y'all. So Philippians 4:19, God will supply all your needs according to His riches in glory.
All right, y'all. So we're on to our third and final topic today, which is back to life and back to
To
reality.
reality.
Okay.
Okay.
So this is a segment where we share all of today's pop culture from our
Mm-hmm.
knowledge. Also, we also share our therapeutic background and tying it into mental health. And for today's topic, we're going to be jumping into Mariah the Scientist and Young Thug's proposal. Now, of course, this is something that we have not seen before where somebody, whether it's a friend, family member, get engaged or married to the person that we don't agree with. And so it comes up a lot. It can create a lot of issues within families. And so, Keisha, I'm wondering, girl, what is your opinion?
My homegirl needs to start over, as in related to this episode. Okay. I think he is beneath her. I think she can do better. I think when he went to jail, she should have left him and started over. I think when the recordings came out, and then the way he was dragging her down the red carpet, wouldn't let her talk to people, right? And so all these things are coming out where it just looks like he is very controlling. And it was even a clip of somebody that said like check out my music, my song or whatever. And then Young Thug was like, oh no, we're gonna delete that. She ain't gonna listen to that. Like just controlling. And I just think that she could really do better. I think I'm sure she loves him, right? But I'm sure she's also holding on because it's Young Thug, and her name is attached to his, which brings another level of fame, right? With her trying to push her album out, which I love, by the way. I play that like every week, but I think she needs to start over, and find someone who is actually on her level.
Yeah, I see a lot of opinions on it. I see everybody giving their take. My only thing is, if y'all are gonna try to shame her, you really got to check the cobwebs in your closet.
Ooh, come on now, he without saying cast the first stone.
Because at the same time, one, it's okay to give your opinion, but you can also come from a very loving place. You don't have to talk negatively about her. Because at the end of the day, however this may go, whether it's somebody you know directly, whether it's someone that's a celebrity, you want to make sure you continue to create a safe and real space for that person to softly land if things do not work out, And my whole thing, I do agree with you. I do think the man do give off controlling, because I think there was one interview that he did where they had asked him about like therapy, and he was like, I'm gonna paraphrase, but he was like, why would I go to therapy? My girl don't need to listen to nobody but me.
Yeah.
That's where you're wrong, bud. Yeah. Like, that's where you're wrong. Yeah. Like, that's where you're wrong. Like, no, like you're not the answer. You don't know everything. And I'm not saying that a professional knows everything. And so if y'all are with a family member, a friend, or somebody outside of, or within your circle, and they are making a decision and connecting their life with somebody else, keep it positive. Be real with them in a very loving way. Even though you may not disagree, even though you may not agree with their union or what they got going on or whatever, but also just kind of reminding people of the signs of what to look out for, to still protect themselves financially. I'm sure the girl's going to protect herself financially. But like, again, when people are in love, they don't see the signs. I mean, it's a very common thing. And so, I'm just encouraging people to, yes, go seek a therapist. We're not saying that we're the ones who have all the answers, but we do have the educational and the license background to help you listen to your inner wisdom. And not allow somebody else to be your inner wisdom for you. We're not making the decision for you. We just saying, hey, listen, tune in. Something may be happening that you're not aware of. And so that's my take on it.
I like that. And it takes me to a lot of people who have been in a relationship for years.
Exactly.
They always say, I don't want to start over, right? Or I put time into this man. I've groomed him the way I need him to be.
I done built this man up. I don't want the next woman to reap the benefits of what I built.
And you're just sabotaging yourself, because you gotta know when to cut your losses, and when you have put in enough time, energy, and effort into somebody, and you're not starting over, you're starting over from experience. And so the experience is the part that a lot of people leave out, because now you know things, you've been through things, you realize things, you've changed, they've changed, like you're starting over from experience.
Yes. And I hate when people be like, oh, well, it's just not going to get better if I leave. How would you know? Like yes, it's going to be hard. Each path may have its set of hards. You're just familiar with this one. And the one that you may need to take, it may be a hard, but it may be so beneficial for you to go through that hard. But again, sometimes the signs are there. But hey, we don't know the girl. There may be more going on than what we may know. And so she may see value. We just see different, and that's okay too. Just want to make sure that you create a safe space and a soft place for somebody to land when they are needing someone to hear them out.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
But yeah, y'all, that was today's episode. Keisha,
Mhm.
what are your intentions for this week?
Ooh,
For this week?
girl, for this week, I am resting. I'm
That's
gonna be
good.
intentional with rest. It's been like you said, it's been just so fast paced with trying to like meet deadlines and commitments and
Yes,
juggle
ma'am.
things. And it's the end of the year. Everybody's just trying to make it to literally the end of the year, right? We pushing
Yeah.
through. And I just want to slow down myself,
Period.
take a breath and not move so fast. Just to be like, listen, I'm gonna take my time. If I'm not gonna make it, I ain't gonna make it. It is what it is.
Yes,
So I
ma'am.
want to be intentional on my time management and resting.
I feel that my intentions for this week is to definitely reflect. A lot has happened this year. I definitely feel like I grew a lot as well. I've
Mm-hmm.
broken some of my old rules that wasn't helping me. And so I definitely just want to reflect. I'm really hopeful about going into 2026, but we'll see, girl.
We'll
More
see.
to come.
Okay.
All right. But we thank y'all so much for watching today's episode or listening to today's episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely send in your listener letters. We will have a segment called Therapy Mail where we will read your letters out loud and giving some therapeutic approaches, advices. Of course, we are therapists, but we are not your therapist. So please go get connected with one, and we will see y'all next time.
All right. Bye.
Bye.